Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. This video is a tutorial for the Fenix Airbus A320, which is by Fenix Simulations. This plane is not for free. You have to purchase it, but once you purchase it, you're going to love it because I'm really loving it. I'm enjoying flying this plane, and it has almost all the features active, and especially the autoland feature. I did a video 2 days back, and the autoland feature worked really well. There's also a review on my channel. If you just want to go and watch that review, you can also watch it, but in this video I'm going to take you through all the procedures of this Fenix Airbus A320, starting from the flight plan and startup of the plane, configuring the MCDU, autopilot, flying directly to different waypoints, and plus performing a hold and autoland. This video is for the beginners, so I'm going to touch the basic points as well. But if you have got some experience of flying the Airbus A320 and you want to explore the Fenix Airbus A320, this is a good video for you. But specifically for the beginners, because I will be taking everybody through the basic procedures and everything, starting from the flight planning. For the flight planning, I'm using SimBrief. SimBrief.com is a very nice site. When I initially started the flight simulation back in 2015 or 16, this site was not so much consulted, but nowadays, for the last I think 2-3 years, almost all the people who are actually into flight simulation are using SimBrief. It's a very nice site to make flight plans integrated with Navigraph, so all the latest information of the waypoints and the airways and the airports is available. You can go and make your account freely on this site, simbrief.com, and then you can make flight plans. There is an AirAg cycle which actually has the information of all the waypoints and the airways. If you want to update that information, you have to have a Navigraph subscription, and that subscription can be obtained from the navigraph.com site. So once you have your login, you can go to dispatch and you can go to my flight plan, and then you can create a new flight plan. It's a very nice and simple interface. Obviously, for the beginners, it might look little bit of strange, but obviously, with the passage of time, you will get acquainted with the interface, and you will be easily making flight plans through SimBrief. So, for the departure, I will be departing from Lahore International Airport, which is Islamabad International Airport, OPLA, and I will arrive at Islamabad International Airport, OPIS. For the alternate, I can select OPLA, and that's it. Now for the airframe, I can select Airbus A320 because it's not the Neo, it's Airbus A320. Okay, although the controls of Airbus A320 Neo, which is by fly-by-wire, and the Airbus A320 are almost the same, but this is the Airbus A320. So you have to select the airframe. For the cruise profile, select 15. It's actually a number which is used to calculate the fuel burning rate. The smaller the number, more fuel is burned, but the plane goes at a higher speed. The bigger the number, less fuel is burned, and the plane's speed is slow when autopilot is activated. So this is used by the airlines to basically manage their fuel and to save their cost. But for the flight simulation, you can keep 15 because it comes as a star, so it's kind of an optimum point. With the low cruise profile, more fuel is burned, but you get a higher speed. I always select 15, but you can select any other number as per your requirement. Anything else? You can enter the registration number if you want. All these things, I'm just only touching those points which are necessary for the flight planning. So for the departure runway, I will be using 36 right from Lahore, and I will be arriving at 28 left. Okay. The time, you can specify if there is a difference in time, but you can just keep it like this. Altitude, I'm going to set it at 25,000 feet. This is my cruise altitude because it's a very short flight of almost 45 to 50 minutes. So that's why the altitude I've selected 25,000, because there is a very short distance between the top of cruise and top of descent. Passengers, I will select full, and for the freight I will select 5 tons. You can again select any weight that you want. So I'm going to select 5 tons, 0 fuel weight. Let's keep it auto, and that's it. Now we have a flight plan, and there are multiple options coming, 4 options with different waypoints and airways. As I've been flying a lot on this route, so that's why I know that number 2 is slightly good. You can select 2, AMOOC 2E. I think it should be 2D. If I click fix, so it will fix this flight plan. So this is how you can fix it. If it's green, it means your flight plan is good. Your route is valid for AIRAC 2208. So August, I have the latest AIRAC cycle for the year 2022, and for the month August. Okay, distance is coming. 174 nautical miles is the total distance. Right now in the flight plan, you will see some information. I'm going to tell you how to interpret this if you're new to the flight planning. The start and the end point is your SID and star. This is a SID. SID is basically standard instrument departure. It's actually a procedure to fly out of an airport. And star is standard terminal arrival, which is actually a procedure to land at an airport. If I go here, let's look at this. It's actually a very straight procedure for the OPIS and OPLA. But anyhow, just to give you an idea, because from the OPLA it's a straight flight to AMOOC, but it's through this SID AMOOC 2D. And the star, if I let's make a quick other plan. If I let's say I use this route a lot, OPKC, just showing you for this information purpose, and OMDB, that is from Karachi to Dubai. So if you look at this flight plan, I'm not going to do this flight because it's a very long flight. Already it's like 1:30 in the morning. I have to go to office. So, that's why I'm trying to save some time. So if I select runway 25 left for Karachi, you will see that while arriving at Dubai, there is actually a procedure after this point, IMPED. IMPED is a waypoint over here, which is the last waypoint of the flight, and afterwards there is a star, standard terminal arrival. So you can see that, you cannot straight away fly towards the runway. So there is a certain procedure that you have to follow. So after IMPED, you can see all these points which are populated because of the star, and you follow all these points, and REREC is the last point, and afterwards you land at OMDB, which is Dubai International Airport. And while you are about to fly out from Karachi, you fly towards Melem. So after taking off, you can fly directly towards Melem, but as I've told you that SID for the departure, there is actually a procedure. So first of all, the plane will go to Viruk, Lilap, and Melem. It's like following the roads while you are traveling. You can just take shortcuts, but it's better to take a proper road. Okay, so OPLA, I will just go back to my flight plan, OPLA and OPIS. So this was actually an introduction to the SID and star. Initially, when you're new to the flight planning, the SID and star can be confusing, but it's very easy. It's for the departure and for the arrival. So let's populate the flight plan again. And let's select 36 right from Lahore, and 28 left for Islamabad International Airport. And let's select this flight, and you can fix it if there is an error coming, and that's it. AIRAC options, you can see it over here that it's 11th August 2022 to 7th September 2022. So after 7th September, there will be a new AIRAC cycle. So this is because of the Navigraph. Once you have updated the AIRAC cycle, in the Navigraph, you have a latest subscription. Even if you cancel it, this will remain, but obviously it will not get updated in the future. That's it. So coming to another point, reading your flight plan. So this is the flight plan. After the departure, the plane will go to AMOOC, and then it will take an airway, then to Salna, then direct to Sialkot, and then to Indek. Now this flight plan actually consists of two things: airways and the waypoints. Anything in alpha Betical value is a waypoint, and anything in alphanumeric value is your A-way. So Amuki is a waypoint, but J220 is a A-way. And then similarly, Salna is a waypoint, Sialkot is also a waypoint, Indek is again a waypoint. But if there was any A-way, it will be coming in alphanumeric value. So that's how you differentiate A-ways and waypoints. If I click this option A-way, you will see all the A-ways. So J220, you can see this A-way is coming, J220 to Salna and then directly towards Sialkot. Although we could have added J220 to Sialkot as well, we could have done that. But just leave it to SimBrief. It's very easy. You don't have to do it yourself, because nowadays the airlines are using their own databases. They are updated, and the pilots simply pull in this information into the MCDU, and they don't configure it manually. If you want to learn how to manually configure the MCDU, there is a video for the Airbus A320 Neo, which is the default plane for the Microsoft Flight Simulator. This video is there on my channel. Hopefully in the future I will also tell you how to manually enter the flight plan in the Fenix Airbus A320, but for this video we'll just keep it there. Now, as we have to import this flight plan in the Microsoft Flight Simulator in the Fenix Airbus A320, that's why we have to generate this flight plan. And once this flight plan is generated, you will see it like this, a document. No need to really understand this. Few points just for your understanding. This is the maximum takeoff weight, the capability of the plane, and this is the estimated. Whatever you have entered, the information in the flight plan, the passengers, the cargo, and everything. According to that, there is a takeoff weight, landing weight, and zero fuel weight. Zero fuel weight is the weight of the plane without the fuel, but including the passengers and the freight. So this is the fuel, 5,414 kilograms, which is 5.4 tons. And it also, you can see, gives you the breakup for all the flight, what you can say, phases. For the trip, it's 1,655, and for the alternate and for the finers and everything, and extra fuel, we are not carrying any extra fuel. Takeoff fuel is 5,184, taxi is 230 kilograms. So this is given. Then your alternate route is also given, and plus this is the main route. So these are the few important things. If you're new to the flight planning, then just for your consultation you can use this. Otherwise, once we will import this plan into the MCDU, you will be able to read it. So let's get back to Microsoft Flight Simulator and do the rest of the flight. As I'm not using the Microsoft's built-in feature for the flight planning, that's why I will just ignore all the flight planning things over here, and I will simply go to the Allama Iqbal International Airport, which is OPLA for Lahore, and I will select a gate because I have to start this flight from the cold and dark state. So just to take you through the procedures, and then the taxi and the rest of the flight. So I'm going to set this as a departure, and let's fly this plane and see how this flight goes. During the startup, you could see that on the screen that the Fenix software is automatically executed once you select this plane and you start a flight. So no need to actually run this software before the flight, because at the time you will execute this flight, the exe will automatically run. So no need to worry about that. So here I am at the Allama Iqbal International Airport. Let's get into the plane. So this is the cockpit. Very nice plane, nice textures, and trust me, since the time I've purchased this plane, I'm really enjoying it a lot, as I've told you before, and it has given me a lot of opportunity to learn about flying, and especially Airbus A320. Okay, let's get back into the cockpit, and first of all, I just want to touch one basic thing which was very difficult for me to understand in the beginning, but over a period of time I have just created this understanding, because it is not this information is not widely available. So you really have to figure it out yourself, because you're starting up a plane, you have so many buttons and everything. Initially, if you're a beginner, you will not know where to click and what to do, and if you're doing something, why you are doing it. Because for me, it was really important that for just as a beginner starting up the plane, I could have learned press this button, but why we are pressing this button, this was the main thing that I focused on. And I've tried to create some understanding about the startup procedures and everything. So just to begin with, a plane has got 3 sources of power. At the ground, it is connected to a GPU van, which is a ground power unit. Until the time plane is not pushed back from the gate, the electricity and everything, all the electricals are coming from the ground power unit. So just right before the takeoff, the ground power unit is disconnected, because obviously you cannot fly with the ground power unit, otherwise during the flight a van will be hanging with the plane. So you have to turn on the auxiliary power unit, which is APU, and you push back, and once the engines is started, you get the power from the engines, you turn off the APU. So this is actually a procedure that you have to go, but just to start the plane, you need batteries, as just like the cars. For the initial startup, your batteries are switched on, you get all the lights and everything, and then you start the engine. These are the buttons for the battery. If I just go over here, you can see the voltage is coming 27.5, 27.5. Just click these buttons, and now the electricals are up. You will see that this tab is already running. This is the electronic flight bag, which is already running, but there are certain lights that are actually on. You can see the landing gears, throttle, let's keep it at 0. Okay, and the gear is down. Just a few basic things to check before the flight and before the startup. Now we have external power available. I can turn it on, as you can see it says available. But just to give some realism to this flight simulator, I'll just log into the tab by using the code 0000. When initially I purchased this plane and I came here, I didn't know what the code is, so I specifically made a video for this code. Okay, so once you are logged in, you go to this this option, the Fenix option, the first one, and you have to import the flight plan. Kindly ignore this error. It's coming because the time at which the flight plan is generated and the time that I've using for the simulation is very different. Because right now I'm doing this flight simulation in the night. Obviously it's night time in Pakistan, but I've changed the time to the morning. So that's why there's a difference in time. That's why this error is coming. You can change the time if you want. Otherwise you can just ignore it. So right now you can see the flight plan is here, and all the information related to flight, the weather information and the route information, it's all coming. First of all, we have to go to the ground services, and you can see the GPU is already connected. And if I go out, well, can I see the GPU van connected to the plane? Although it's not connected, yes, it is connected. This is actually the default GPU van for the Microsoft Flight Simulator, but with the Fenix, you can see this van is connected and this wire is going in, so it means that the electricity is connected to the plane. Okay, so as the GPU is available, chocks are on. You can remove the chocks, and the left door is open, and the jetway is also connected. Okay, you can see it over here. So let's press this button, external power, and you can see the plane coming to life. Now all the systems are up. You can see the primary flight display, the navigation display, and the e-cams. They are getting up. Maximum self-test in progress, maximum 40 seconds. And so I think in the next 40 seconds, you will see some information over here. So now the plane is up and running, and everything is good. One important thing which I want to touch before I proceed further, over here on this screen, you will see all the navigation of the plane. This sound that you heard just right now is the sound of the flight warning system coming up, which is FWS. So as the flight warning system is now up, you can see that there's information coming over here. It's very good to refer to the flight warning system during the flight, because if everything is good, you will see good information over here, but if something is not good, you will see alerts over here, and then you can fix them. So coming back to the point, for the navigation display, you can see it's all red right now because the positioning system of the plane, which is controlled by the ADIRS, is not active. So you have to turn it on, and I'm just going to turn it on right now because it takes a lot of time, roughly 7 to 8 minutes. So that's why, just to save time and just to continue with the rest of the video, I am going to go over to the overhead panel, and you can see this is the panel for the ADIRS, and you can see 3 knobs. Just set these knobs to nav, and now this alignment will be done. Actually, ADIRS works in combination with the GPS to basically determine the position of the plane, because we will be using all the GPS coordinates for this flight and for the route. So IRS align in more than 7 minutes. So it will take some time. I will take you through the rest of the video, and as soon as the IRS alignment is done, you will see the flight plan and a plane, and it's all turning green over here. Now getting back to the electronic flight bag. So before the all the procedures, we have to initially start the boarding process, because jetway is connected and the door is open. So I can bring this the passenger information. I'm saying customer info. The passenger information and the load sheet from the sim brief, as we have already imported this flight plan over here. So that's why if you click load aircraft, yes, confirm load aircraft. Real time, it will take 27 minutes, and for the fast time, it will take 9 minutes. For this video, I'm going to save some time, and I've selected 9 minutes. And soon you can see the boarding has started. The passengers are coming in, and what you can see, the cargo is also loaded in the plane, and the fuel is also getting loaded in the plane. At this point, if you go to cargo services, you can see the forward cargo and AFT cargo and bulk. It's all on. If I go out, you can see the cargo doors are open, and right now this is not moving. If I go here, and if I turn to ground ground services, and I can call the baggage service.
Lahore ground Airbus November 320 Foxtrot Sierra, could you please send the baggage?
Airbus November 320 Foxtrot Sierra baggage is on the way.
So if you want to add more realism to this flight simulation, you can do this. Otherwise, you can see it over here that the cargo is getting loaded and the fuel is also being filled in the plane. So as soon as the fueling is done, you have to turn on the seatbelt sign on. And let's see, and the no smoking on, and let's arm the exit doors. Okay, so now this is done. So while the passengers are getting loaded in the plane, let's go and configure the MCDU, which is the multifunction control and display unit, which interacts with the flight management and guidance system. The most important part of the flight, the heart and the soul of the plane. So in the MCDU, go to ATSU menu, and first of all go to AOC menu, and first of all go to flight initialization, and just click flight initialization. And now this information is here. The flight number is coming, the departure OPLA, destination, alternate airport, and the estimated time. Let's go back, and if I click weather, I can also request for weather. So let's say right now I'm at Lahore airport, so OPLA. I can type this, and for the META, I can press this button. It will say yes, and TAF is no. If I click this, it will be also yes. So I don't need a TAF. I just need the META format. So if I press send and message, just press send, and let's go back, and you will see the message coming over here, company message received. So once the message is received, you can pull it. Okay, now for this now you can see, I think it's not coming over here, company message received. Otherwise you can see company message received over here. So let's go to weather data, and you can see this weather information is here for the OPLA. The QNH is 1002, which is the barometric pressure, and plus you can see the wind blowing from 120 degrees at the speed of 15 knots, and that's it. So this is the information that you need, although I think you cannot print it out, but in the fly-by-wire Airbus A320 you can print it out. Okay. Now for the first part of the flight, you have to go to this option, initialization. So this is the first step in configuring the MCDU. So first of all, you click this option, initialization request. And you can see that from and to is coming, and alternate is also coming. Flight number, I always use AA123. You can use any flight number that you want. Okay, and the cost index, as explained before, in the flight planning it's 15, so just enter 15, and the cruising altitude is 250, which is flight level 250 or 25,000 feet. So if you just type 250 for 25,000, it will come flight level 250, and at this altitude the temperature outside will be minus 16 degrees centigrade. Now then go to iris initialization. There are many things while recording a video, they become a tongue twister. Okay, align on ref and confirm align. You are done, and then go back and just get the wind information, request the wind. You will get all the information related to wind over here at different altitudes, flight level 10,000, 18,000, 34,000, 45,000. The direction and plus the magnitude of the wind is coming. So let's go back. Now the second point that we have to check is the flight plan. So let's go to flight plan and let's select OPLA. And for the departure, you have to select 36 right. This is the runway. And now the SIDS. So I can access the flight plan. If I click this option and I click here, the SimBrief flight plan will be imported, so you don't have to search back and forth to your browser. You can just see it over here. As told you before, the route information is coming here. So from 36 right, I will be using SID to go to this waypoint Umuki. So SID is OMUKI2D. So I simply have to scroll by pressing this up button, and let's select 2D. So here it is, and temporary insert. So that's it. Now you can see that this Amuki 2D information is also coming, and going to Amuki and then J22 airway to Salna and then direct to Sialkot. So you can see in this flight plan the airways are coming over here in the white text, and in the green it's the waypoint. So after Sialkot it's Indek, direct to Indek, and then there is a flight plan discontinuity direct to OPIS because I have not selected the star. So right now let's select the star. So click this option, destination OPIS, which is the destination arrival, and let's select the arrival runway ILS Y28 left. This is where I will be landing. And for the stars, I have to select a star. So you can see the star is Indek 1A. So let's go here and select a star, Indy 1A. So I will just select it. And then you can see approach vias. You have to select the via as well. There is only no, for this option, for this airport there are two actually vias, Isdor and Kemal. So how do you know which one to select? You have to refer to the airport charts. The best thing about this tab is that you can get the charts from the Navigraph. If you don't have the Navigraph subscription and you want the charts, you can search them over the internet. Initially I used to search them like this, and I used to download them. They were very old charts, but somehow I was using them and they were easily available. So right now if I want to search for the Islamabad International Airport's chart, I will simply type OPIS space airport charts in the Google, and this information will be given to me. But it's better to have the Navigraph subscription. So over here, simply click import route information from the SimBrief, and now you can see the departure and the arrival runway is coming, and plus the route is also coming. As you click route, you will see it over here. Okay, so if I click OPIS, the jetway is getting disconnected. Yes, I think the boarding is completed. Okay, so if I click here, I click approach and I select let's make this more visible. ILS for this runway 28 left, I have to find Y. Category 1, 2, 3 ILS or LOC Y runway 28 left. This is the runway, and this is the procedure actually I'm using. And you can see it over here that ISDUR is the point. So ISDUR is actually the point via from which we will be actually landing at this airport. So that's how you know. And plus there is a holding pattern over here as well towards the left. During the flight I will also tell you how to perform and hold in this plane, so it will be easy for you. So this is how you get the wires. It's important to enter. So let's let's insert wires. ISDUR selected, and it is now selected. So approach ILS Y28 left via ISDUR, and this is the star ND1A, which is actually a procedure to land at the Islamabad International Airport. Now if you scroll through this flight plan, you will see no discontinuity, and that's it. I was actually looking for top of descent and top of climb, but it's not coming here, but during the flight you will be able to see it. Okay, so now the flight plan is there, but if there is a discontinuity, I have a video on my channel which tells you how to remove the discontinuity. Let's try. Let's see this example as well. So if I change my runway from 36 right to 18 right, or 36 right to 36 left, let's change it to 36 left. And if I select a MOOC 2D, I think there should be discontinuity. If I change the runway, it happens to me. You can see now there is a flight plan discontinuity coming. In order to get rid of this flight plan discontinuity, clear this option over here. Just clear it. Once it's clear, press clear. It should appear over here CLR, which is clear, and then press this point and then insert temporary, and then the flight discontinuity just goes away. So this is how you delete the discontinuity. So getting back, 36 right, departure. I will select the departure again, 36 right, MOOC 2D. And that's it. And again, the flight discontinuity is coming after a MOOC, so simply press clear and press this button and insert temporary, and that's it. So now it's updated and there is no discontinuity. So now the flight planning part is done. Now you have to check the secondary flight plan. You can copy the active secondary flight plan. Is actually for different procedures. So let's say if in case of an engine failure, you should have your secondary flight plan, so you can change it and then you can just fly back to the runway. Or if during the flight plan you have to select autoland airports, or you want to make any changes to a flight plan, so instead of messing around with the original flight plan, you make the change in the secondary flight plan, and then you can activate it if required. Otherwise you can just ignore it. So right now in this video I will not be using the secondary flight plan option, but maybe in the future I will do a video. Now you can see the iris alignment is also done, and the navigation display shows you a plane and plus a green line, and this option is arc. If I increase the navigation display's range, you will see the flight plan populated over here. You can cycle through your flight plan, all the waypoints, by moving this knob to plan, and then if you scroll through the flight plan, you can see it will take you through the flight plan, and this is how you can have a look at your flight plan. Okay, and if I turn constraints, will I be able to see the constraints? Yes. So it's a very good thing to even look at the constraints during the flight, that at this altitude you should be at 6,000 feet, and over here at this waypoint you should be plus 5,000. So if any constraint is there, it will also appear over here on in the navigation display if you have any constraints. So you have to turn this option on, constraint. Let's move it back to arc, and plus you can see all the constraints are also coming over here in the flight plan. So that's it. So secondary flight plan done. RadNav not really required, because it for the VOR navigation. I'm not doing VOR navigation in this flight, but once you Make your flight plan. The VOR information comes over here. It is actually very high frequency omnidirectional radio frequency VOR. It's a frequency at when the plane is going towards Sialkot, there is a VOR. So it's actually not any a waypoint in the air, which is actually the RNAV navigation or the area navigation, if to be precise. But in this flight plan, there is also a VOR, which is a ground-based navigation aid. So this flight plan is a combination of the airways in the air, using the GPS coordinates, and plus the ground-based navigation instruments. You can ignore this, and for the ILS frequency, you can see 109.90 for the Islamabad International Airport. You can see, if I go and zoom in, you can see it should be 108 ILS IBBA. I think right now it's maybe tuned into Lahore ILS, but once I'm near this airport, it will change to IBBA 108.1. Let's wait for that, but it gets fixed. You don't have to enter the ILS frequency. Yes, the course 359 is coming. This is for the 36 right runway, so this is the Lahore ILS frequency, but I think during the flight it will change to Islamabad. Now go back to initialization, and as you can see it over here, there are two arrows. It means there are more pages. You can scroll through these pages. If you click this right button, you will see a page, initialization page. Over here you have to enter the zero fuel weight and the zero fuel weight center of gravity. Let's get back to EFB, electronic flight bag. Let's click this option, the first one, and go to your mass and balance, and over here you will see the zero fuel weight and the zero fuel weight center of gravity. So zero fuel weight is 61.0 and the zero fuel weight center of gravity is 31.8. So 61.0, 31.2. So that's how you enter it, 61.0 slash. Just remember, you have to follow this format: 2 digits, tens in units, then decimal, and then another digit, slash, zero fuel weight, center of gravity 31.2. Once you enter this information, now the zero fuel weight and the zero fuel weight center of gravity is there, and the block fuel is 5.4 tons, which is 5,420 kgs, so 5.4. Let's enter this, and the fuel planning will automatically be done over here. You can see the takeoff weight, the landing weight, and now the takeoff weight is with the freight and with the fuel and everything. The landing weight is minus the fuel burned. So the landing weight is 64.7. We have to use this information while landing at the airport. I will tell you how to use this information, but remember this point, that landing weight is 64.7 after the fuel burned. For the reserves and alternate, everything is coming over here. And the last thing that we have to do is calculate the takeoff performance. The best thing about the Fenix Airbus A320 is this, that it has its own takeoff performance. This is for the takeoff performance and this is for the landing. So first of all, we have to go to the takeoff performance, and the cow code OPLA is automatically selected. Runway, I'm going to use 36 right, because takeoff performance also takes into consideration the length of the runway. That's why you have to specify the runway. Runway surface is dry. Flaps, I will use 1+F, which is flap position 1. Force toga, yes. Now what is toga and what is flex to temp? As you can see, this information coming over here. The Airbus throttle has got 4 positions, which is idle, climb, flex to temp, or the reduced thrust, and plus the toga. Toga is takeoff and go around. So idle, it's very simple, it's 0, no power to the engines. During the flight phase, when the plane is cruising, right immediately after the takeoff, the throttle is moved from flex or toga to climb, because it's kind of a reduced thrust, because the plane cannot fly the whole flight with the maximum thrust. So the thrust is reduced in order to have less stress on the engines and to increase the engine's life. So you set this throttle to climb, and then because of the auto throttle, the autopilot keeps on increasing or decreasing the power given to the engines. Now, flex to temp is actually a methodology used by the airlines to actually have less impact and stress on the engines. In this the option, there is a formula to calculate the flex to temp, but thanks to the takeoff performance, it comes over here. You can take the flex to temp. What it does is that it gives you a temperature higher than the outside temperature. So let's say if it's right now 40 degrees centigrade in Lahore, the flex to temp might be 46, 50 or 60 depending upon the calculation and all the factors. So your the FMGS, the flight management guidance system, knows that the temperature is very high. So it calculates an optimum thrust power which is less than 100%, obviously not full power, because full power will exhaust your engines and it will put more stress. It reduces the thrust during the takeoff, and there is enough thrust so that you can lift off. Then you fly at the flex option for 5 to 6 minutes, not more than that. And then the thrust at the thrust reduction altitude, you can see coming over here, thrust reduction altitude is 2206. You will move your throttle from flex to climb, because as we are not flying an actual plane and this is flight simulation, so we don't have to calculate the flex to temp. We have to simply go with the maximum throttle toga, which is take off and go around, used for maximum thrust. So I will be using maximum thrust. So this is all I can explain about the throttle and the thrust. And the Airbus A320 is different than the Boeing 737, but it's very nice. This thrust thing in the Airbus plane is better than the Boeing planes. Okay. Runway surface is dry. Flap configuration 1+F, as I've told you before. Forced toga, yes. Packs is basically your air conditioning. I will be taking off with the packs on. Once I sync the load sheet, it will get the takeoff weight 66.2.
Aboard ground in Pakistan, 230 taxi to the gate.
Okay, so let's,
230 taxi.
as I'm tuned to ground, let me change the frequency so that we don't hear this radio communication. Okay. And the maximum takeoff weight, the center of gravity percentage is calculated 29.7. It was over there, it was coming as 31.2. Anyhow, we can just ignore this. Just get the temperature, the wind, the QNH, and plus the temperature. So now, as we have all this information, we have to press calculate. Now it will give you the flap position and the pitch trim during the takeoff, whether the trim will be down or up. It's down 0.3. I will tell you how to fix this or to set this information in the plane. V1, VR and V2. V1 is actually a speed during the takeoff at which you decide about the rejected takeoff. So if you want to reject the takeoff, up till 121 nautical miles is a good point to reject the takeoff. But if you are more than 121, then you have to take off in any case, because then stopping will have catastrophic results. VR is the speed at which you will rotate, and V2 is the speed at which the plane can fly with one engine. So in case of an engine failure, 140 nautical miles is a good speed. So 1 down 03, 121, 140 and 140. So let's just enter this information as per the same format. 1/ down 0.3. Flex to temp, we can ignore it. 121 and 140. Okay, 121 and 140. 140. So now all the information related to the flight planning is done. Initialization we have completed. Flight plan we have entered. Secondary flight plan is copied. RadNav we have checked. Initialization B, the second page is done, and the performance for the takeoff is done. So everything related to MCDU is now done. Let me reset the camera. Now let's first of all check for the ground services, that whether the ground services are completed or not. So if I go here, you can see everything is now done. The door is closed, but still the GPU is connected. I'm going to turn on the APU and then I will disconnect the GPU. Okay, so let's go over here and the overhead panel. Set steup to auto. this is actually a light at the top and the bottom of the plane which tells the ground staff that the engines are going to be activated or they're active. So this has to be up. Beacon, set it on, and nav and logo. These are actually two lights at the wingtips to basically tell you that whether the plane is going left or right. So if you see the green right, it means you are facing the plane in such a way that the plane is going towards the right side. If you are looking at the red light, it means the plane is going towards the left side. It's very useful in the night. So red means left and green means right. If I go out, can we see it right now in the morning? Yes, as you can see this green light. So if you are facing the plane like this, so it means the plane is going towards the right. So if you're seeing the green light, you can understand the position of the plane, and plus the red tells you the plane is going to the left. Obviously in the morning it doesn't make any sense, but in the night it is more useful. Okay, what else? Nothing else is required from here right now. Just make sure all the lights are black. And the Airbus cockpit, it's very nice that if all the lights are black, it means there is no issue. All the systems are up and running. For the oxygen crew supply, just turn it on. Fuel pumps, I can turn them on right now. As you can see, as I'm pressing the buttons, they're turning green. It means the fuel pumps are up. Right now, let's go to this option, the master switch for the APU, and then the start. I will first press this button, wait for almost 2-3 seconds, and then I will start it. The moment I'll do it, you will see over here in the eCam, if you select the APU option, the APU startup indicator will come. In order to save time, till the time APU is up, I can set the altitude 25,000 feet over here. And plus the QNH, let's go and get the QNH. It's 1002. So it's 1002. In the fly-by-wire Airbus A320 and the default Airbus A320, it is actually what is the caution? Nav discrepancy. You can see this discrepancy is coming because you have to set this barometric pressure both the sides for this for the captain and for the co-pilot. So that's why this error comes. See, this is what I was telling you in the beginning, that the flight warning system is really nice. If you hear a chime, you can just refer to the flight warning system and you can see what the error is, and then you can fix it. So now the QNH is adjusted, speed is in the manage mode, altitude is in the manage mode, and plus the altitude is also in the manage mode. I will tell you during the flight how the manage mode works, because there are two modes selected in manage, but I will explain it to you during the flight. Now you can see the APU is available, and it's available, so I can turn on the APU bleed. APU bleed is required to turn on the engine, so if the APU bleed is not up, the engines will not work. Okay, and external power is on. So right now I can cut off the external power, because now as I told you before in the beginning, that from ground power unit we will switch to APU for the pushback. So I can disconnect the external power, and if I go to the ground services, I can simply disconnect the GPU, and you can see this GPU van is now disconnected. If I go out external, you will see that the GPU is no longer there. And right now we can see that everything is done. The seatbelt signs are on, all the major lights are on. The rest of the lights you can turn them on if you are doing a flight in the night. Right now in the morning, not required. All the lights are black, no issues coming. For the generators, for the engine, this is coming as fault, not white. So it means it's okay. Once you turn on the engines, this will also disappear. And once I have the engines, I will switch off the APU. So right now everything is done. I can release the parking brakes, and I can request for the pushback. So first of all, you have to connect the tug. Now you will see the tug will be getting connected to the plane. If I go out, you can see it from here. Okay. So that's it. Now the brakes are released. I can start the pushback. Okay. You can see the plane was plane another tongue twister. The plane was moving because the tug was connected. So now I can start the pushback. As I will be taxiing towards the runway, because this is the start of the 36 right, so I will turn the plane towards left during the pushback, and then I will move in this right direction for the taxi. So the moment I will see the taxi line over here, this is how I've estimated how to turn left and right and when to turn left and right. You can see this yellow line over here. This is for the taxiway. Just roughly when I can just clearly see it, I will ask the tug to steer to the left like this. I've been practicing a lot to basically get lined with this taxiway line very clearly, but at times I just make the right call, but at times I cannot. There are some pushback plugins available. I don't use them, but it's good. You can stop the pushback right now because we are aligned. Let's click it again. Yes. It's a very nice call, but I should have been on this line. Anyhow, we can just ignore it right now. Okay, now I can call off the tug. I can... Yes, the parking brakes are now on. So, this is the engine mode selector. So, first of all, turn it towards right, towards start. Ignition start. And first of all, start the engine 2. Just click this button and the engine 2 will start now. So let's go outside and see. The engine 2 is getting started. Okay, you can see this N1 percentage increasing and EGT increasing. In order to save time, I can also start the engine 1 right now with engine 2, and you will see the engine 2 is also getting started. During this phase, you can see this TCAS warning is coming for the traffic avoidance. Transponder is actually off, so I can switch it on, the transponder, and I can set this to TA and RA. As I will be not using ATC, so that's why it's not really important. But if you're using VATSIM or if you're using the built-in ATC communication for the Microsoft Flight Simulator, you have to turn it on, and plus you have to set the TA and RA, this option to TA and RA. Okay, now you can see this information has disappeared over here. So AP bleed is up, company message is coming. I think this comes because go to the MCDU menu and go to ATSU menu, and AOC, if I see the receive messages, there's also a load sheet coming. We had to accept it before the pushback, but anyhow, just doesn't make any difference. It's just doesn't impact the flight plan. Okay, so now it's done. You can see the engines are now stable at 19.0, 19.0, and these numbers are also not changing. It means the engines are up and running, and now they are stable. Okay, so I can go back to the cockpit, and a few more things to go do. This mode selector, set it back to normal, set flaps to 1, arm the ground spoilers. Ground spoilers are actually used when we have the reverse thrust. So in case of a rejected takeoff, your ground spoilers should be active. Spoilers are actually at the top of the wing, and they basically create some drag and to spoil the speed of the plane, just to stop them. And then along with this, the braking is used. You set the brake to max, which is for the rejected takeoff, which is RTO. So now the brakes are set to max. As you can see it coming over here, ground spoiler is armed. Okay. And what else? So everything is good. Transponder is on, flap set to 1, ground spoiler is active, throttle is idle. We have entered all this information, the barometric pressure for the altitude. This is to basically adjust it, and it's good. That's it. I think I'm not missing anything, and I can just click this option, takeoff configuration, and you will see that everything is good. Auto brake set to max. You can see signs on, cabin ready, spoilers are on, armed, flaps set to takeoff, and takeoff configuration is normal. So it means everything that I've done is set. Now I can release the parking brakes and I can start the taxi. So I will be taking this right turn to the taxiway. The taxi speed should not be more than 20 knots. And now the left turn. There's one interesting feature I want to show you over here in the Navigraph. I think I'll just stop over here at the taxiway. There's one feature which is very interesting. If you go to the Navigraph charts, and if you select OPLA, and you can see the ground charts, airport briefing, you'll parking stands, and let's, if I go here, this is the information about the parking stands. We actually see a point over here. I think it's yep, over here you can see. So if you're using VATSIM and you get the instruction for the taxiways that taxi from the taxiway N and T and then move towards the runway 36 right, you can refer to these charts and you can see your plane on the taxiway and you can see whether you are going in the right direction or not. So if I keep the chart over here and if I move, you will see the plane moving over here. So it's a very good indication. You can refer to these charts in order to see the position, to park at different gates. So this cursor is moving, and even during the flight, if you open the charts, you can see your plane on the charts. This is a very good addition to this Fenix Airbus A320, and I just really like this feature a lot. We will explore it also during the flight, but now I will turn right. You can also change the orientation. Oops, the pointer is not moving. I thought the pointer would also change. Okay, so let's turn right and let's hold short of the runway 36 right in order to get the takeoff clearance. As I've told you before that I'm not using the ATC communication over here, but it's always good to stop just right before the runway to get I think my speed was slightly high. Anyhow, you just have to stop here, look left and right for any incoming traffic, get the takeoff clearance, check again for the takeoff configuration, and that's it. So now I will move to the runway 36 right. and here I am. I'll just apply the brakes, stop. First I will take the throttle to 50%, and then afterwards I will release the brakes and then take the throttle to 100%. Over here, if you look at the ECAM, you will see this is the 50% mark and this is the 100% mark. Even with the toga, the power of the engine during the takeoff will not be more than 90.5%. If I turn on the chrono, the timer will come. We cannot exceed more than 5 minutes. So the maximum power that you can give to the engine is for 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, you have to reduce the thrust. Although I think very shortly we will be going through the thrust reduction altitude, so that's why it's not required. But anyhow, if you want to add some realism, you can turn on the chrono. So let's reset the chrono and set the. Can I reset it? Yeah. Okay, now let's give throttle to 50%, then release the brakes. And now full power. Just keep an eye on the PFD. This is the, sorry, I'm just also using the mouse. This is the PFD. You can see one coming, it's V1, and this is the VR speed at which I have to rotate. So let's rotate. Not a good takeoff. Okay, so okay, now it's positive rate of climb. I can take the gears up. Okay, so I'll just pause it for a moment over here. Okay, now the simulation is paused. I will just tell you a few basic things. That during the takeoff, always keep your this director over here, the green line, at 15 degrees. This is a nice rate of climb at 2,800 feet per minute. Once you cross this S speed, you have to set the flaps to 0, because now this is actually the speed with the slats. So below the speed, you have to have slats or flap 1 configuration. Okay, so during the takeoff I forgot to turn off the APU bleed. See, the flight warning system, it happens. Anyhow, as I'm talking, there's so many things going on, that's why it's better to have a look at the flight warning system. So you have to set the flaps to 0. Okay, so let's play this simulator, and as I've crossed the S speed, I will take the flaps to 0. So now the flaps are retracted, and now the lever climb, it has to be reduced. So right now it is set to toga, so I will just reduce the thrust to climb. Now the as you can see it over here, thrust climb is coming, and at this point I can turn on the autopilot. Now you can see it over here at the FMA, which is the flight mode enunciator. You can see the thrust climb is coming, and right now the plane is an open climb. It will not follow any constraints, because I'm climbing in a selected mode. But if I climb in the managed mode, then the plane will actually follow all the constraints. So now the plane is in a managed mode. I will just get into the details more during this flight. Okay, now as QNH 1002 is blinking over here, you have to change it to standard. So click this button and the other one also, and set both to standard, and then this option will disappear, the blinking option, and then STD will come, which is actually standard. Let's increase the range, and you can see that there was a constraint actually that I have to be more than 2,500 feet. I was obviously more than 2,500 feet, that's why this is the option coming. Alternate is locked for flight level 250, which is 25,000 feet. So that's why it's coming over here. So it's always good to have a look at the flight mode enunciator. It is telling you that autopilot 1 is active, and the flight director 1 and 2 is active, and the auto throttle is also active. So that's it, and let's change this ECAM, or rather I can select the fuel. Okay, now the fuel is coming over here. Now if you look at the navigation display, this arrow over here, it's telling you that by this point the plane will be at 25,000 feet, and this white arrow, it is telling you the top of descent. This point is actually the circle coming with the circle is actually a point from where if you are before this point, you can turn back to Lahore, but if you cross this point, it's better to proceed with the flight and land at the airport rather than going back. It's safe to be there. Right now you can see the speed is increasing because the plane has crossed 10,000 feet. That's why you can see the vertical speed is reducing. So the moment the speed is 310 knots roughly, I think, then the climb will again start. As you can see now, this top of climb has moved. It is coming over here. So now the vertical speed is again increasing because the plane has now increased the speed. So that's why the top of climb is coming back again. I think, yes, generally it's over here. So till this point the plane is at 25,000 feet. At this very short flight, and I don't have enough time left, I will touch more topics during the descent. We will talk about the managed board and the selected board in detail. But right now we have to calculate the landing performance. So let's go to the EFB and select this option, which is the landing performance. OPI is dry. The runway will be dry. The runway will be 28 left. Let's select this. And weather, apply META. So the weather is here, 1005 HPA. You can see the weather information coming. Landing weight 64.7. As I told you before, we have to keep this thing in mind. So after burning the fuel, 64.7 tons will be the fuel. Low brakes, I will be using medium brakes for the landing. And idle, no reverse thrust, maximum reverse thrust. I will auto land. Flaps will be full, and auto throttle will be active, because in this video I will be taking you through the auto land procedures. So right now you can see this thing that after landing at the OPI is 28 left, it will take 1939 meters to actually stop the plane. So this is a good information. So even if you set the brakes to low brakes, so with the low brakes it will take 2492 meters, and with the medium brakes it will take 1939 with the maximum reverse thrust, auto land option on, and flaps full. Okay, so you can see the runway distance is coming. 3658 is the length of the runway. You can see it over here in the flight plan. If I go here, if I select destination, if I select arrival, you can see that for all the runways this information is coming: 3658, 3658, 3658. So the length of the runway is coming, and you can see the ILS frequency is also coming, 111.30. This one, 108.10 IBBA. So this is basically the ILS frequency for the Islamabad International Airport. This is for the 10 right, 111.30, and this is for the 28 left. So if I go to RadNav, you can see that this frequency is also changed over here, IBBA /10.10. So after doing the landing performance calculation, what is there turbulence? There is some turbulence over here. Okay, so let's get to this tab in the MCDU performance. Scroll through the pages, go to next phase, and come to this option approach. We need to enter this information for the QNH. We can get this information from here as well. It's given, it's 1005. So it's 1005. Temperature is coming 25 degrees centigrade. You can see it over here, 25/24, the maximum and the minimum, 25. And the wind direction is coming from 78 degrees. The speed is 3 knots. Transition altitude is 12,000 feet at this altitude. The standard would start blinking. It means you have to change this to the given barometric pressure, which is 1005. I will change it. And the landing speed or the approach speed will be 139 knots, which is as per the full flaps. And over here we have to enter the decision height for the Islamabad International Airport. The decision height is 1947 feet. Let's go to the charts and let's consult the OPIS chart. Approach, and you can see ILS 28 left. Although I've started, if you click start, you will see it over here. So the decision height is actually, it comes over here. Yes, 1847. So if you're coming for ILS category 2 and 3 ILS, LOC Y runway 28 left, the decision height is 1847. So let's enter 1847 over here. Just right before the takeoff, you will hear the autopilot saying minimums. Basically, this is a decision height. If you still want to perform a go around, you can do it at that time, but after the minimums, it's difficult to perform a go around. Then you have to do a touchdown. So this is I think it comes 300-200 feet above the ground. Depends upon different airports, but you have to enter this decision height in order to hear the autopilot saying minimums. Okay, that's it. So you have done everything. Just last one more thing. Go to the progress and type OPIS 28 left, and you can also see the progress. 100 nautical miles to go. It's in a straight line. If you draw a straight line from here to here, it's 100 nautical miles. Otherwise, if you refer to the flight plan, it's 120 nautical miles because it has to follow all this flight plan. So as it was a short flight, so that's why I entered all this information quickly without delaying it. Now everything is done. Anyhow, you can turn off the seatbelt sign, let the passengers move in the cabin. You can see the decision altitude is also coming. Now in the FMA, the cruise altitude is coming. It means now the plane is at the cruising altitude, which is 25,000 feet. The plane is leveling off. Okay, now coming to this point regarding the managed and the selected mode. One more thing, keep an eye on the top of descent. We have to start the descent over here. The plane is right now moving in the managed mode with the speed. So whatever the speed is given here in the flight plan, that your speed should be this at different waypoints or at different levels of flight. The plane is actually following that speed. So right now, if I press this button like this, down, now it's I can change the speed of the plane. Now it's in the selected mode. So whatever I will select, the plane will actually follow this speed. But if I click this is now in the managed mode. When you see the circle over here in 3 dashes, it means it's in the managed mode. So the autopilot will actually select the speed according to the constraints and all the information as per the flight plan. Similarly, in the heading, right now, whatever the flight plan is, the plane is following the flight plan, following all the GPS coordinates and everything. But if I select this option, then I can change the heading of the plane. Right now, plane is moving in the direction 283 degrees. But if I change it, you will see the plane now moving. Okay, it is now going away from the flight plan. So this dash line is your flight plan, but now you can see with the solid line that the plane is going to deviate from the flight plan because I've changed the heading. But if I press it back, the plane will again turn right and will start to follow this green line. And similarly with the altitude, right now the plane is cruising at 25,000 feet. But during the descent, I will show you open descent and open and the managed descent. Right now, once I will start my descent, you will see that there are different constraints coming over here. The plane will actually follow will follow all these constraints. And at this point, the plane has to be at 6,000 feet. So the initial descent will be to 6,000 feet. As the top of descent is coming, I will descend to 3,700. It's given over here. At this point, in order to intercept the glide slope, I should be at 3,700 feet, which is the mandatory height. So let's set this altitude over here, 3,700. Let's change it to hundreds, and then you can change the altitude in hundreds. So now I've set the altitude. As soon as I'm near this point, I will again press it like this. When the key is up, it means I'm pushing the button, and the descent will start. This is the ETP, as I was telling you before. If you want to go back to Lahore, this is a good point. Otherwise, after crossing this point, it is better to land at Islamabad than going back, or to choose any other airport over here. So this is a good indication also over here. Ground spoilers are still armed, so let's disarm the ground spoilers. You can see the flight warning system, it should be clear. Right now the ground spoilers were active. Actually I'm talking, so that's why the two things skipped right now, switching off the APU and then disarming the ground spoilers, but we have to arm them for the landing. Okay, now the top of descent is coming, so I can start the descent. If you bring your cursor over here and you press it, you will see a green dot appearing over here. This is actually a deviation from the descent profile, and now the plane is descending. Right now you can see that the altitude is coming in magenta color. It means there is a constraint that the autopilot has to follow, because I'm descending in the manage mode, and the first altitude will be 6,000 feet instead of 3,700, because this is as per the constraint. So at this constraint the plane should be at 6,000 feet. Okay, if we are near, you will see over here this arrow is coming. It means now this arrow with the zigzag and an arrow, this means that the plane will be following the descent profile at this point. If I try to zoom in, now it has disappeared, because now the plane is following the descent profile. This green dot, the vertical deviation, is between the yellow lines, so it means the plane is following the descent profile. If I go to progress, I will see that the vertical deviation is plus 58 feet, which is a very less deviation from the descent profile. Otherwise, if this dot is here, it means you are way above the descent profile, and if this dot is over here, it means you are below the descent profile. Right now the autopilot is following the descent profile. So this is one indication, and plus if you see, okay, this point has now disappeared. Now look, this point, now as the plane is slightly above the descent profile, you can see this zigzag arrow again started appearing, which means that the plane will start to follow the descent profile over here. So it will just keep on coming going on the screen. You can see it's not coming again, as now we are higher than the descent profile. Now this green dot is coming. It means by this point the plane will be at 10,000 feet and will be reducing its speed, because below 10,000 feet the speed should not be more than 250 knots. Now this arrow is coming back, so it means that the plane will be following the descent profile by this point. Now if you go to the flight plan, you will see that there is this point Punop. I can fly directly to Punop, so just simply go here to direct and select Punop. More drag, okay, because the descent profile is not what you can say followed, so that's why this error was coming. So if I want to go directly to Punop, I can select this option direct, and I can select this option Punop, and I can select direct instead. And right now you can see the plane has now started moving directly towards Punop, so it will not go to this point which was coming over here. So plane will actually go to Punop. Okay, as now I've modified the flight plan, so the descent profile was calculated according to that flight plan. Now as the flight plan has changed, so that's why the descent profile deviation is very high. And right now how much? If I go here, you can see I'm 1,914 feet above the given the altitude that I should be at. So I'm at a very high descent profile. If I come here, as I've told you before, there is holding pattern at this point Isdur. I should be at 6,000 feet, as you can see it in your flight plan over here. Isdur 6,000 feet. As now I'm very high in the profile, so what I'll do is this: I'll just try to perform a hold over here at Isdur just to show you, and during the holding pattern I will try to reduce the altitude. So let's try to hold over here. Now you can see in the flight plan that Isdur is here, if I click ISDO, you will see this option hold coming. If I press hold, you will see that over here turn right is coming, but as per the charts it's on the left side, so you have to turn left and then perform a hold. Okay, and that's how it is. The maximum speed should be 220 knots. Okay, the maximum altitude 14,000 and the minimum altitude should be 6,000. So that's how it is. So in this tutorial I will also tell you how to perform a hold. I will change this direction from right to left. So if I press left and L, and if I press here, you can see now the turn is towards the left. Revert to computed, it will go back to the computed one, right? But if I again press L, it will just turn towards left. So as the turn is towards left, I will use it. You will see this holding pattern appearing over here. If I insert temporary, now you can see that this holding pattern is here at ISDO towards the left side. Still the altitude is really high, so during the holding pattern I will try to get to 6,000 feet, and then I can leave the holding pattern. The plane enters a holding pattern due to many reasons. As per the instructions of the ATC, there could be more traffic, any issue with the runway, the visibility is not good, it's raining, or any other factor. So due to this, the ATC tells you to hold the position. In the videos that I'm doing over the internet, I'm just telling you how to hold if you are coming at a higher altitude, because this is one scenario that we can do it over here. But obviously if you are flying any flight to any airport, you will not be using the holding pattern. There is no use to do this. But if you're using VATSIM, obviously there will be cases in which the ATC will ask you to hold your position or perform a hold at a waypoint. So that's why then you will go into holding mode. But right now, as the plane's descent profile was very high, that's why I will just enter this holding pattern. Just take one circle, one round of this holding pattern, and I will just then try to exit the holding pattern. As you can see that by this point the plane will be at the given descent profile, but just to show you over here and just for the tutorial purpose, I am just performing a hold over here. Soon the plane will be crossing 12,000 feet mark, and over here you will see standard blinking. Let's turn off the chrono because it's coming here 12 minutes, but we reduced the thrust I think just right immediately after the takeoff. Right now you can see the standard is also blinking, so I will just click this, and 1005 is the temperature, is the barometer pressure of Islamabad. 1005 really required for the autoland procedure. So once I'm out of this holding pattern, then I will also tell you how to perform the holding pattern. To basically prepare your plane for the autoland, because this is one thing that I will be exploring in this tutorial. As now the plane is below or going to reach 10,000 feet, and then will be going below 10,000 feet. That's why the speed had to be reduced. So as I told you before, that till 10,000 feet the speed should be not more than 250 knots, and above 10,000 feet then you can increase the speed. So as now the plane is descending and it's crossing the 10,000 feet mark, that's why the speed is reducing. So the autopilot has automatically reduced the speed. This is because of the managed mode. If you were going in selected mode, then you have to change the speed yourself. Right now you can see that there is still a very high deviation with the descent profile as this arrow is moving, because the plane stopped descending in order to reduce the speed. As now the speed is in the given threshold, that's why the plane has again started to descend. But I think I will be at a very high altitude over here. It is whereas I should have been at 6,000 feet, and over here you can see again the descent option is coming. So it means if you're coming to this point and your altitude was 6,000, then you will again start your descent from this point. This will be done by the autopilot, so we don't really have to worry about it. Just keep an eye over here, and just for your information. So if you look at the vertical deviation over here, more drag, just remove this. You will see it's 1,000 feet now. So let's perform this hold, and then we can just exit the hold. So in this video I wanted to basically touch everything: how to fly directly to a waypoint, how to perform a hold, how to perform the auto land, and managing your descent and reducing the speed and everything. So I just wanted to take you step by step through all the procedures. Let's go to the flight plan and see what's happening in the flight plan. So after this point ISDO, then there is a hold ISDO, and then after this hold there is BTR 108, this point. You can see I should have been at 6,000, but now the plane is 7,600 feet. If I look at the progress, 1,460 feet deviation from the given altitude. So I can maintain my altitude and then I can get back to the flight. You can see that right now the target altitude is coming as 5,951. The plane will keep on descending, because by this point the plane will be at, should have been at 6,000 feet, but now as it is going down, so that's it. So this is how you perform a hold with the Airbus A320 by Fenix Simulations. Weather is good in Islamabad nowadays. It's very rainy because it's monsoon, and for the next 10 days there is a forecast for the rain. So I am traveling on Thursday. Right now when I'm making this video it's Wednesday, so tomorrow is my flight. Rather Friday morning, but it's 1 in the morning. It will be Thursday night, and I will be doing a vlog as well. So just stick around and wait for the vlog to come. Nowadays I'm doing some nice vlogs while I'm traveling to Pakistan and coming back to Riyadh. Right now you can see the flight mode enunciator has changed. The altitude with the star is coming. It means the plane is now holding its position at 6,000 feet. And still the plane is in the descent mode. And locked. You can see the descent is in this color. It means it is locked at 3,700 because it's the manage mode, so we don't have to manage it. Right now the plane will continue to fly in the holding pattern till the time I press this button, immediate exit. So once the plane is over here, I will press this button, immediate exit, and the plane will come out of the holding pattern. You can see this over here in the charts as well. I have to actually reduce. Oh, it remains the same. It's slightly. I thought it the cursor will be here. But anyhow, let's see what happens when it comes back. Can you see it on the charts? And I think over here you will see it very clearly. Let's wait for it. I don't know whether it's like this in the real planes or not. I have no idea about that. But if you're an experience of the Airbus A320 in the real life, you can tell me whether this feature is there in the real planes or not. But right now this is a very good feature. You can see whether you're following the flight path or not. It has just disappeared. I think it'll come back again. Okay. Now you can see that this is the last turn, and after this turn I will be pressing this button, immediate exit, to exit the holding pattern. So the altitude is good now. The speed is in control. Oh, look, it's back again. And now it will be on this line. It will follow this line. So it's a good indication. Okay, so now as the holding pattern is about to finish, I will press this button, immediate exit. It will ask me resume hold. I will not resume hold. Till the time I have not crossed this option, the resume hold option will keep on coming. If I want to again resume the hold, I can press this button to resume the hold. Otherwise, the plane will automatically will get out of the holding pattern, and this option will stop coming over here. And after this point, the plane will again descend, because at this point you should be at plus 5,000 feet, and over here plus 3,700 feet. And this is at the deacceleration point. We'll be soon passing ISDO, then BTR 108, then a left turn, then I will activate the approach. This is the green dot speed. The plane is slightly above the green dot, which is the optimum speed in the clean configuration, without any flaps, without any slats. The best drag to lift ratio. Now you can see that the plane is leveling off at 6,000 feet. It is as per the constraints. As I am descending in a managed mode, that's why it is following all the constraints. It's not an open descent. Speed is managed by the autopilot, the heading is managed by the autopilot, and plus the altitude, and it is following all the constraints. So now the next altitude is 5,000. At this point, if I turn on the LS for the ILS, and let's also set it over here 1007, and I can also activate the LS over here for the ILS approach. You will see the diamonds for the lateral alignment and for the vertical. Now as the deacceleration point is coming, so I can activate the approach phase, and now the speed will further reduce, but it will not go below the green dot as there are no flaps. So I will take flaps to position 1. The speed will now drop. This S speed is the best speed with the slats, with the flaps 1 configuration. So the speed will now not drop below this point till I go to flaps position 2 or 3. And right now you can also see that I cannot activate both of the autopilots. Only one autopilot can be activated at one time. That's it. Once this diamond is in the middle over here on the green line, I can activate the approach phase. Remember to have the auto brakes set to even low or medium. It's advisable to have medium auto brakes. I tried one of the auto landings, and in that landing I forgot to activate the brakes, and the plane just went off the runway after the after the landing, when I tried to activate the reverse thrust. In the autoland, the reverse thrust has to be activated by you. Everything is done by the plane except for the reverse thrust. So this is one thing that you have to take into consideration. Now slightly above the descent profile. By this point I should be at 3,700 feet. You can see. And this is the final descent point, and this is the runway. So how far is the runway? If I look at the progress, it's 9.6 nautical miles away. I can activate the ground spoilers, further reduce the speed by taking the flaps to position 2. Now the speed is reducing.
2,500.
Okay, I think now we can activate the approach phase. That's it. Now the approach phase is active, and you can see the glide slope is coming over here in the FMA, and the localizer, it means it is locked with the localizer following the glide slope, and it's a ILS category 3 landing single. And once I press autopilot 2, now you can see both the autopilots are active at the same time, and over here AP1 plus 2 it's coming, and cat 3 instead of single, it's now dual, which means that both of the autopilots are active, and right now I can take the flaps to full, and I can lower the gears. Now everything is good. Now you're actually plane and the autopilot is in the autoland position. So both the autopilots are active, approach phase is active, ground spoilers activated, flaps full, landing gears down, and the brake is set to medium. Remember to set the brake to low or medium, because if it's not, then there are chances that you will just steer off the runway. So just be careful during the landing. Once the plane touches down, you have to activate the reverse thrust. I'm using the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, and with this stick I have a button configured to activate the reverse thrust, and then I have to give full throttle in order to have maximum reverse thrust till this point. Okay, so you can see the visibility is not really good in Islamabad now. You can see the runway, so it's a very good example, and you can see it right now that although this is slightly a better visibility, but in rather very low visibility when still the runway is not clear at this point, then autoland is a very good option. So you can see over here the flight warning system, flaps full, everything is good. Always remember to keep an eye on the flight warning system. Now at the 500 point you can see land is coming, so it means the autoland is active, and just right, I think this is the minimum point from where we can decide to go around. And now you can see flare. Just yes, at 50 the autopilot has done the flare. And here's the touchdown. Now I will activate the reverse thrust. Below 80 knots. And that's it. So it was the magic of the autoland. I hope this was a good video, and I've tried to keep it very short, to the point, so that you guys should know how to land the plane on autoland. Fenix Airbus A320. It's been almost a month I've purchased this plane, and honestly speaking, after buying this plane, I've gotten a chance to learn a lot about the Airbus A320, because it's a very nice steady level plane. If you have got any questions, the comment section is there for you. You can ask the questions. I try to answer all the questions in time, but if there is a delay, kindly excuse me for that. If you've got any comments or any feedback, or do you want to add anything to this video, the comment section is there for you. Thank you very much for staying with me. Hope to see you soon.